Lightning Talks here at Hacker Dojo. Come on in, come on in. All right, welcome to Hacker Dojo. If it's your first time here or if you're a recurring guest, make sure you sign in at the front and get yourself a name badge, please. All right. Let's see. Are you okay, so this is really quick. I just want to fill the room. Are you a hacker? Raise your hand. Okay, got a couple hackers. Couple hackers. All right, what about developers? We got more developers. You see that, YouTube? We have more developers here. All right. What about entrepreneurs? Yes. All right, we got a lot of entrepreneurs. Hobbyists? Hobbyists? A couple hobbyists? Okay. All right. What about unicorns? A couple of unicorns? Okay. Test not the unicorns? Okay, cool. Great. All right, so Hacker Dojo is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Hacker Dojo is a community of engineers, artists, scientists, activists, entrepreneurs, and other creative people centered around a co-working and social facility. Membership, of course, it's a nonprofit, and it relies on membership. So we do have memberships at hackerdojo.org for about $150 a month, and there's other tiers as well. If you guys want to rent a desk there in the Hive, that's also an option. We do need volunteers. Plenty of volunteers are needed for a lot of different services. If you guys want to help volunteer at the front desk. If you guys are very familiar with laser cutting, you guys can volunteer to host a class for laser cutting, or 3D printing, or like we have right now, barbecue. Right? You guys can help volunteer do the barbecue. Or here, right where I'm at, you guys can host here on stage for Lightning Talks. That would be great. All right, donations and suggestions. We do have a suggestion board right against the wall over there. There's a donations list on the table at the desk in the front. There's a couple of things there. If you guys would like to donate, you guys can check that list out. Or if you guys have suggestions on how to improve Hacker Dojo, you guys can list that down on the board there. Okay. And there's a tip jar. You guys want a tip for the barbecue. And the Venmo. There's actually the Venmo. You guys want to scan the QR code on that. All right, Mo Furious. Mo Furious is currently down. Sad. You know, we need some software updates or something going on with the telecommunication bot, where pretty much anybody can use anywhere around the world 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can use the bot and just tour around like in real time. You can move the robots in the back and move the robot all around everywhere you want. So that'd be pretty cool. But it's currently down. All right, upcoming events. If you guys don't know, there's a lot of events on Meetup. We have tons and tons of events. Coming up on Sunday, we have free computer tech. If you guys have some computer issues and don't know how to resolve it, you guys can bring it here. And there are some professionals that will help, that do volunteer their time to fix your computer or your devices. Monday, we have Build a Bot. It is really cool. Robot Robert is actually hosting that. They're in the classroom. It's so awesome. I should have posted some images there. Building an AI robot dog. Like literally, like I can tell my dog, like, go get him. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think it's cool. If you guys want to check that out, that's on Monday. Tuesdays, we have Python 101 for beginners and the 50 megahertz and up group, if you guys want to check that out. Wednesdays, a couple more events, machine learning and Python 101 intermediate. Friday, again, Lightning Talks. As always, you guys are welcome to come join. All right, Hacker Dojo links. We do have a few links there. Meetup, the website, the YouTube channel, Twitch, Slack, Discord, and Twitter. Make sure you guys follow us there. All right, rule number 1. Can I get somebody to just read out what rule number 1 is? What is rule number 1? No. Rule number 1. Be excellent to each other. Great. All right, so you guys have 5 minutes to talk. We're going to get our first speaker coming up. Get them set up. Make sure that you guys, obviously, we need community feedback. It's ask questions. Know what our speakers are talking about. So with that said, we are ready. Oh, okay. Uh-oh. All right, let's get going. Let's get our first speaker up on stage, please. And we have Fabrico using Flutter building apps. Who has used Flutter? Anyone? No? Okay, cool. There you go. No one has used Flutter, so there you go. There we go. You got it?
Oh, yeah.
Perfecto.
Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me? No.
There you go.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Perfect.
can you hear me? Yes. Let me take here, I think it's better, for a couple minutes. Yeah. Well, my name is Fabricio. I'm a software developer. I have been working with mobile apps for 10 years, but a couple of years ago, I knew Flutter. And Flutter is an incredible toolkit for developed apps created by Google in 2018. And I would like to show you some advantages of using Flutter. After, we will take a small hands-on to you guys show how it's easy. Yes. The first advantage of Flutter is that the environment is very, very stable. I don't know how are you familiar with some developer platforms to make apps, but sometimes it's unstable. On the other hand, Flutter is very, very stable. It's very, very easy to learn. Another thing is that the performance is very, very, very good, and the hot reloaded really, really work. And I will spend 2 minutes to show you how the magic happened. Yeah. It's better to show. The first step to create a Flutter app is Flutter create the project. Yeah, the project is created. I open in my favorite IDE. Let me include here. Yeah, it's here the project. I open this. Wait. Exactly this. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, everything in Flutter is created inside this method build, and inside this method I will include the body. Don't worry about these widgets, because the main objective is just to show, you'll see how it's easy. Review, Now the last step to make the app.
Any way you could zoom in a bit, or
Make the text a little larger, perhaps?
Sorry?
Could you make the text a little larger so it's easier for us to see what you're up to?
Ah, yeah, let me increase. Sorry. View the zoom. Is better? Yeah. Image network. Pictures. It's just an app to show some image in a screen. I'll just create the array here, and it's finished the app. String. Pictures. And I have some couple pictures here. We just type here the array. Yes, the name is pictures. Here is pictures. Let me just. Yeah, ready? We just need to open the, let me run here. No, run without debug. Now they will deploy the app inside a simulator, and the app is ready. The good thing about this platform is that the Google have a good team to maintain the project. Yeah, it's just a simple app to show the pictures. I will demonstrate how works well the hot reloaded. I will just include the padding inside the images. around the image, not inside, around. Yeah, I include a padding of 8. And now we have here the app of images. The objective here is just show how stable is the platform. And if you would like to know more about this solution, you could ask me in LinkedIn or find in the internet. But I really recommend, because I have worked with React Native, Android, and Ionic. And Flutter for me is the most stable. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Frederick. Just talking about Flutter. Any questions? You do have a question.
You said you use your favorite IDE. It sure looks a lot like VS Code to me that you're using.
Yeah, it's my favorite, VS Code, yes.
Yeah, that's what you're using to do the tool. That's where you have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's amazing. Sometimes you need to use another IDE. You need to use Android. You need to Android Studio to make the builds, and you need to use Xcode to generate the builds. But the most of the time, you can use just Xcode.
Well, that's good to see you use VS Code to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, any more questions for Fabrico? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Balaji. Balaji is going to talk about the Wombat Baby Monitor. What the heck is going on here? Wombat Baby Monitor. Seriously, that's an interesting title. Where you at? There you are.
Let me just organize.
Anybody want to give a guess what a Wombat Baby Monitor is? What do you think it is? Wombat? It's an animal? It's a cute animal. From Australia. How do you know that? Really? Is that true? Or are you making that up?
Is it not coming? Wait a sec. It's not coming. No signal. For some reason I'm not getting the signal here.
Give it a second here. That looks like it's good.
Good. Shows projecting. Maybe I can do a different one.
It's good.
Maybe TV input, I need to switch.
TV input.
It should already be on. Yeah, it's already there. Yep.
Okay. We are trying different one. Does it come? It's also not coming. Maybe I can do it later. I will figure out. Somebody can.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. He's going to try to work on that. Can we get our next speaker up? Our next speaker is Jonathan. What is that? Spotify? Is that Spotify?
Yeah, it's a project.
Spotify, software startup. API music. Okay.
Do you have a USB-C?
Yeah, that's it. Should be there. Where'd it go? It was here.
Right here.
Where'd it go? I'm looking for it. Here it is. Yeah, that's what I was budget. No, I figured it out. You're using the wrong. Oh, no worries.
And move this up. Where's my mouse? Oh. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan, and I am working on a startup called Shangri-La. I did not arrive prepared with slides, although I do have a WordPress blog at the moment. So my background is in music. As a musician, I like to write songs. Not very well, and one of the other backgrounds I have is that I work in electronics and engineering, so I do have some background in software. So this startup in particular is, have you ever been presented with the today how streaming services have taken over the airwaves, whether you're listening to Spotify on Wi-Fi or on Bluetooth or on cellular signal, and you wonder what has happened to compact discs, what has happened to vinyls, unless you frequent music stores. They're doing well enough, so this goes to listening to many of your favorite artists. Now that streaming services have, I don't have the statistics on it just yet. I'll bring that next time. That streaming services have monopolized the music industry. So the idea is to bring back physical formats because, for one, listening to a vinyl gives you a different experience, because listening to a vinyl will give you an analog representation of the audio data, where you listen to the grooves with a needle, and the grooves are an accurate physical representation, whereas if you listen to an MP3 format or a WAV format file on a CD or on a streaming service, you're taking sampling. You're sampling the data, and there's missing information in between. Although our ears can't completely tell the difference. So Spotify has an API, or application programming interface, that is able to parse music listeners' data. And so for every favorite music artist or group that you have, Spotify is able to parse that data. And then with Python, you're able to take that data and see who your top artists are, see who your top genres are, see, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a blog of myself, and a team of 2 interns working right now. So if you're a software developer specializing in Python or HTML, that would be useful skills to add to this project. So here's an example of the Python script, simply printing out on the console. So for instance, if I'm listening to Journey, the band, a ubiquitous, universal band from the 80s, that if I search up the URI from Spotify, the app then we're able to see on the console what the top albums are, and this is some of the code in the background we're running. So this is purely in Python right now, Python 3, and so we're also able to take that data and display it on HTML through on a web page using a web framework called Flask. And if you're also familiar with Django is also a platform that is used to display on a web framework. So I can show you another slide over here. Here is an example of the output to console being outputted to a web browser. And in this example, the screen is showing all of the albums created by the band U2. Any U2 listeners over here? You like U2? What about Journey? Yeah. What are your favorite bands? How about we hear some favorite artists for? Oh, okay. Yeah. Time? Okay. Yeah.
All right. Questions for Jonathan? You have questions? Spotify. Spotify. How do you say it?
Spotify. Well, the project is called Shangri-La, and it's based on the Spotify API. Yeah. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Did you have a question? Yeah? Looks like we got a question over here. Jonathan, stay on stage.
Yes, sir. You're actually trying to figure out by what I'm listening to. Is that likely? I'm going to have a misunderstanding what you're going to put up on the web. Is that for each individual?
For each individual?
That's listening, or you're putting stuff up onto the web. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, so I'm not my background isn't in software engineering, so I'm looking for a software specialist or a web engineer that is able to work with me, because this is an idea of mine on the business side, and to work with a software or web engineer to create profiles for each individual music listener that listens to Spotify. It can either be a plugin for Spotify where you can parse the data and then it will automatically mail home to you your favorite vinyls of the month of your favorite artist or group, and as well as
Is Spotify kind of already doing that? I mean, by what I'm selecting is kind of making.
yeah. Well, the point is that Spotify is doing all of that digitally through a software means where you're listening to the music. Through Wi-Fi, through cellular signal, and that music is sampled, meaning that there's missing data. There's missing data in between. So when you mail, the service is to mail home a vinyl, which is a more accurate representation of that musical data, because there is no sampling. It is analog.
Oh, so you're going to provide me with the analog thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's something.
Yeah, it's a service.
Yeah, you're kind of doing what Spotify did. You kind of know what I want.
Yeah, Spotify knows what you want, and then Spotify will send that data to a third-party service to mail the vinyl home to you.
And then you supply the vinyl, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not supplying the vinyl. I don't know any vinyl suppliers.
You get people to.
Yeah.
We have
it's,
one more question,
getting
John.
I think that's the supply chain type of thing to work with. Yeah. Thank you. Good question.
So John, a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
So I do have a sort of at least an extended comment here.
Yeah.
If you're able to do that, and I understand the vinyl part of it, but if you're able to do that into other areas of music that they, other venues of music that they might be listening to, whether it's YouTube or otherwise, and then provide a more comprehensive analysis.
Other venues, you said?
Yeah.
Other applications?
Other means.
Or other means, okay.
Like YouTube as an example.
Oh, YouTube, yes.
You're able to collate all that, especially with YouTube, and so too with Spotify. When you're a user, you're just jumping from one place to another and all over the place by the time.
Yeah.
Literally in 10 minutes, you could be going through many different songs, right?
Yeah.
It'd be awesome to actually track that and provide that as an analysis that might be of a lot of value, I think, to the user.
Yeah.
As opposed to just one. Just a thought.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, Jonathan, thank you.
Okay.
Now we got Balaji, the Wombat. Is it Wombat? Wombat baby monitor.
Wombat.
Wombat. I thought it was Wombat. Wombat baby monitor.
So it's mother's womb, like, yeah. So, I'm Balaji. So this concept of baby basket resembling womb of a mother's womb, like, so babies feel safe and feel comfortable in mother's womb, but when they come out, they don't have the comfort same. So to simulate that as a bot, I mean like a robotic way, combining the silkworm design and the bird's cage, come up with an idea of how to integrate as a simulated AI womb, where it can have the soundproof basket, which has air and light ventilators, and also has the sound effects of mother's voice and the same texture of the mother's womb. So those artificially we can create to make it more comfortable to the babies. So I was thinking, designing with the origami, we can do that. It is like a collapsible frame which can be created with flexible material, 3D printed, so that can easily manufacture for that. So it has a triangular vents. When the flat cage is pulled up, it gives the ventilator effect. And this has other use case. It can be a dog cage. After that we can use for dogs, and for kids we can use for campfire if it is a large scale, and tree house, we can make it a tree house, maybe a watchtower one assembled quickly, and it can be a man cave where people who are snoring can be isolated like that. Maybe in the office also a nap time bed, and it can be a Mars cave when you go to Mars. So these are some of the idea. I'll leave it open to you, any idea how to develop this origami style cage.
Well, that
Any
was
question?
interesting. That was interesting. Wow, that kind of threw me for that book. Balaji, I'm curious. I do like the comfort of being like in a cave like that. It's awesome. How would you make that? Like, what's your idea? Like, how would you produce that? Out of what materials?
Yeah, this is the Midjourney generated one, but we have to give the prompt. I want this for a bird cage. It looks like a mother's womb. It generates that.
Wow. Okay. Any more questions?
And what about baby incubating?
Baby incubator.
Babies.
Incubator, that can be done. You have to provide all the warmthness and that possible, but it is more expensive to do that. Yeah, for hospitals, yeah, it is possible.
All right. Anyone else? Perfect. All right, Balaji. Thank you. That's great. All right, next we have him coming up. 5 minutes accounting lessons for technologists.
My name is Kim, and I used to work in operations accounting in oil and gas for 3 global companies. And so, and actually one of the first people I met at my first company was the tech guy. And so, and I think that with a lot of things that have been happening in the Valley lately, I wanted to go and help my friends out and go and give you a 5-minute accounting lesson so that you can have an edge in the job market if you find yourself looking for one. And so because accounting is the language of business, and so just being able to speak this common language, I think will really go and make you stand out. And so I'm not going to go and get really deep into the woods, but I'm just going to go over the basic fundamentals of what you really need to know to understand accounting. And so the first is that it's a double entry system of debits and credits. And accounts can be represented by T accounts, and I'll go and give you an example of that. Debits are represented by positive numbers, and credits are represented by negative numbers. And just in practice, there can be exceptions. I have seen some really interesting financial statements, or accounting ledgers where the signs really aren't as they should be, but that's the book style that they teach you. The concept of normal balances, and so you're going to have different accounts that will normally be a debit balance or an account that will normally be a credit balance. And I'll go and give you some examples of that. The accounting equation, this is probably the most important, which is assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. Assets are represented by the positive numbers, and so that's your debits. And so that would be like your computers, your buildings, and so forth. And so your liabilities are represented by credits or negative numbers. And owner's equity, that's the ownership in the company. That's also represented by credits or negative numbers. And so as the business goes by, the accountants are making entries, debit and credit for any business transaction. And these entries flow to your various financial statements. And they also, these financial statements, I'll just go over the basic ones, which is your profit and loss, which is your revenues minus your expenses. And the difference, that's going to go to your income summary, which eventually should go to your owners. And the balance sheet is also represented by your assets and your liabilities and your owner's equity. And then you also have your statement of cash flows. And so I think that's probably enough for most people to get an accounting lesson. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
All right, any questions for Kim? Do you have a question over here?
Hi, Kim. I think one of the terms and definitions that I usually get confused with is revenue versus profit. What's the difference between the two?
Revenue is so revenue is money that your company is taking in as a course of doing its normal business. And profit is the money that's left over after you deduct expenses.
Thank you.
Another question?
Debits and credits, is that money people owe you as a business? Is that how you look at those two things? It's kind of backwards if you're a bank, you know. If you put a deposit in there, that's how you
Yeah, you know, I really never liked reading bank statements because from an accountant's point of view, they're really confusing because I was always thinking in terms of debits and credits. And so, let me see. I'm sorry, can you rephrase your question again?
Well, I guess the debits would be, I don't know, something, well, credit, yeah, debit, well, I think on my checking account, a debit is something I owe or I lost that money. And a credit is something I get. But in business, maybe it's backwards from that. Maybe you're thinking the money your customers owe you.
Right. I think one thing that you have to keep in mind is whose set of books that you're looking at. And so, like, a bank is probably going to be, I guess you could say, projecting from their point of view.
Yeah, it's backwards from my point of view.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Backwards, debit to me is negative and credit is positive.
Right,
Bank
right.
is the exact opposite.
Yeah, like when you deposit money into a bank, like when you look at your account statement, that deposit is reflected by a positive number, right? Because you're increasing an asset account. But from the bank's perspective, that's a liability for them because they owe that money back to you and they anticipate you're going to be drawing it down. So that's a liability on their books.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying.
Okay.
All right, that was a good question. You know, I've actually had arguments with bankers about that. I was like, no, it's credit. You know, credit's what you guys owe me. Yeah. Anyways, Kim, thank you. Thanks for coming up here. It was great. You know, this is actually really great. Kim was not going to do this talk today. It was great to have her. I think one of the most important things that we need to really encourage is women to come up on stage and just have presentations like this. This is amazing. Go ahead, if you can have me, please.
She really knows what she's doing. She's a professional accountant.
Yeah. All right, we got Jorge going to talk about learning or working with ChatGPT. Hold on, really quick, before you get started. Who has tried ChatGPT? Raise your hand. I just kind of want to fill the room here. Okay, this is good. This is good, Jorge. I think you got it.
Okay, well, I am playing with ChatGPT as everybody and try to find how to use it. And really today, it's a very simple thing that I was working today. I'm going to give a presentation next week about design thinking. And I don't know, how many of you know about design thinking or has used it for anything? Oh, that means that talk, we can repeat that after I do next week. The question, design thinking is a method in how to solve problems. And one of the very interesting things that I has faced the issue of writing a problem statement to share with people. And I found that everybody has done a little bit that, but always is a very complicated problem. There is not a common way, a common structure. And I decide to use the concept of templates in Notion that allow me to generate what is a problem, and I start to document that using ChatGPT. ChatGPT runs inside Notion. And I can use it in a very simple way and provide that to my audience next week and say, okay, what is a problem? How you can build a template for that? And I ask ChatGPT, can you generate a template for me? And amazing, it's very simple kind of things. And I say, okay, I want to document the problem. And that documentation gave me some information in what I want to solve. And focusing the idea, design thinking has these 5 steps. How I build empathy with my customer, how I define the problem that I want to solve, that was the previous step, how I ideate some ways to solve that problem, and then how I can build a prototype and do the testing. That's a very simple, look like a scientific method. Is something that almost any startup, any people that solve problems use it. And I say, okay, if I am teaching that, can I use Notion as a tool to document everything? And I was surprised that I was really running the full session of design thinking between me and the ChatGPT. And I asked what I was doing. I was learning, I was preparing my talk, or I was solving the problem. And any of these three elements can be in a given moment. That changed my mind because I was preparing, looking how I'm going to behave in front of a group. And ChatGPT put me like a simulation, give me answers, and that's amazing because you say, I want to solve a problem in how I want to dig more. Can you give me more ways of documenting a problem? And it's amazing because this thing immediately start to generate for me a lot of the answers that I needed to have. Give me some ideas. Sometimes it's going to give me good ideas, as the same way that you have an assistant or you have an intern helping you, or maybe you have an expert. That is one of the things that I am looking in, how I can transform the way of working myself in a different way than we used to do it. And the idea here was, I create a template, that template generates some alternatives. I can do editing, reject it, erase anything. For instance, replace the selection because I don't like that. Okay, well, replace and take the old ones. Or maybe I can ask again how to make it and say, okay, can you do that as a blog post? And that generates me a full writing of the information that I want. And give problem generation, give me the full description. That mindset of solving the problem, doing the rehearsal or preparing the material is something that I really was surprised at. I didn't know what I was doing, and at the very end, I feel more comfortable for my presentation next week because I have the three elements in one time. I just want to share that ideas.
That is awesome. Okay. What program? That's not normal ChatGPT. This is something else. I like this.
Well, that is Notion. Notion is, are you familiar with Notion? Notion is like a notepad that allows me to write things. And inside of Notion is integrated the access to ChatGPT.
That's so awesome.
And what is going to happen is in very short time we're going to see that in Word and Google Docs or things like that is going to be part of that. But can you imagine that you, instead of calling somebody or jumping into Google, get a lot of information, you get that information ready to be processed in a direct way. That is a completely different way of how we are working, and the interface is going to change. I was just chatting last week with how it's going to be the new front page of Google. They are going to add BART and the search results. You get some information and you can start jumping between the search and the bots and create some more refined way of getting more information.
That's so awesome. All right, thank you, Ore.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, last speaker for Lightning Talks for this Friday is Svit. Svit is going to talk about macro and crypto. Why not markets? Is markets? No, markets? You say macro and crypto.
Oh.
I was kind of curious.
Macro stands for macroeconomics, because I'm not.
So you guys don't know Svit pretty much been here every single week doing, giving us updates about the macro and crypto economics, yeah?
That's true. That's right. So today is usual two graphs, one is positive, another negative. Again, positive meaning in terms of macroeconomic development, because if you're trading, positive and negative might take absolutely different meaning, because say like unemployment, job openings are up, it might be positive for the economy, because now we have more jobs and the economy is supposedly making that hint on a potential growth. However, if you're trading and if you're looking at Fed, at the possibility of the Fed rise, say half a quarter of the point, then that's a negative, of course. Anyway, that week we have unexpected jump in job vacancies in April to 10.1 million. However, if you see, it's not even close to the high, which we reached in about 22, which was about 12 million. Still, it's kind of hinting on a strong economy. Paradoxically, of course, we have negative. Unemployment also is up. And unemployment actually added to 3.7%, which is still on a record low. If you kind of draw it further, that graph is going to be almost on the bottom. And that again, so today at Friday, stocks reacted positively because they thought, okay, we got the growing unemployment in fact probably will pause because at 12th of June, we're going to have the next formal meeting. And then they're going to decide. At the beginning of the week, we did have absolutely opposite picture. Consequently, if we go to the stock, we see first of all, NASDAQ, you see a small on top. NASDAQ started the week by jumping or opening with a gap, and then it slided down again on expectation that Federal Open Market Committee will actually raise the rate. But then sentiment changed drastically on Thursday when we saw that employment figures or added job openings, and then sentiment become bullish. So we closed the week high still. And importantly, by the way, as we see, we reached almost close over the very important technical level. NASDAQ is going good, but Bitcoin is actually going exactly according to my projection, which I made about 4 months ago. I started here, so I made that projection months. I'm talking about weeks. It's about 2 months ago. So the kind of following that projection. So during the past week, Bitcoin dropped. Why that's not good.
Because I can buy more stacks, I can buy more Satoshis, more Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, yes. Many people asking why. My opinion, of course, my opinion is that we just need more money. Most is on retail, and now most of the money just flowing there. So people just don't buy it. Although, strategically, of course, Bitcoin more still stands strong. Plus, as soon as we got tensions and worries, geopolitical tensions reducing, it's kind of shifting focus of many investors from Bitcoin. That's it for today. So if any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sia.
Okay.
Smith is normally the last speaker, but we got one that was just put up. Was inspired by you, Smith. Thank you. You inspired people to come up on stage and talk. So we do have Daniel coming up.
If people can talk about that, everything, all options are open.
Daniel's going to come up. Projects for USG proven what? AGI. All right. Welcome.
Thank you. Which, this one? So, thanks everybody. I used to live out here a while back. I've been in DC for many, many years. So, many of the people here, right, obviously want to do things with AI. But the problem is that GPT, it's not really AI. It's not intelligent, so how can it be AI, right? It's a statistical model that takes the probability of this word next to that word, right? It's not thinking, it's not understanding, it's not reasoning, it's not simulating, and the essence of intelligence is simulation. So there's probably many people here who would like to do something where there's probably a cognitive component. Maybe you want to have it think about what makes sense in some particular situation. Maybe you want to ask it a question and have it actually understand the question, understand the material that the question's being asked about, and then give you an answer that it can explain. I mean, that's genuine AI. And so all those years in DC were spent proving this out. We had this about 15 years ago, but we knew that if we launched, no one would believe that we had AGI because people think that's science fiction or 50 years in the future, right? And we didn't want other countries to steal this and put it to work in a defense capacity because it kind of confers these advantages. So everyone's talking about the danger of, this type of AI that everyone knows about, but ours is the first moral AI. It's able to make moral understandings to simulate the effects, because morality is about well-being. So it knows that if I do this or if I do that, well-being will be affected or compromised in these ways, and it won't do things that are immoral. And so the debate about should we ban AI, right? I mean, if you ban GPT, that's not going to do anything, right? Because the disruption's already happening, and our AI is infinitely more powerful than GPT, and it's more moral, so it's able to solve societal problems rather than creating those kinds of problems. So anyway, the thing about generality is most people think that every technology has a list of features, right? So when you say, I have a new tech, the first thing they say is, well, what does it do, right? But with a general system, it's reversed. So I say, well, what do you need? And you come to me like I'm a doctor, right? And you say, my knee hurts. And we say, great, let's get your knee fixed. You have a different problem. Let's do that thing. So generality means that we come to you where your problem is and whatever you're trying to solve, rather than you having to fit your need or your problem into some small subset of things that we can actually do. And so really, the reason I'm here is to just talk to people about this. We only went public about 2 months ago on this, and so that's why I'm out here. Just tell people that this is a thing. It's been completely validated and backwards and frontwards by the government, and we would love people to bring us problems to solve, and we love to share revenue with people. So if you have a problem and you can find some way to get somebody to pay to solve that problem, you participate in not only just the revenue flow from that, but the process of actually solving that problem. And there's a lot of people out here that have been laid off looking for something interesting to do. So we think in a lot of cases we can provide that. So anyway, my name is Daniel Olsher from Integral Mind, and that's what I got.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
The AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, which is a type of AI that's able to understand or learn any intellectual task that a human being can.
Yes.
This is in contrast to narrow AI, which is only able to perform a specific task. Is that what you're saying what ChatGPT is?
Right. So, I mean, really, they're only calling GPT AI for marketing reasons. It hasn't solved any of the foundational problems of cognition. It can't explain, doesn't understand. So it can't actually do intelligence. And if you think about it, when you use your intelligence, you simulate. So you say, should I stick my finger in the socket? Well, if I do that, it'll hurt and it might kill me, right? And I don't like either of those things, so I probably won't do that. So that's a simulation that your mind does in the background. We're able to do that in the computer, but at a much higher level of fidelity and accuracy and provability. So you don't have to take it on faith. You can prove that it will work every single time, even if the context changes. Yeah.
I do, there's a bunch of questions here. I got a bunch of questions myself too. What company is it? You said your company is going public.
Oh, so we went public in the sense of letting people know about it, not in the IPO sense. It's INTEGRAL Mind.
Are you at least
Integral
public
Mind.
in the you're hiring and here's the link sense?
We're interested in talking to people, yeah. But I think even better than getting a job with us is finding a way to be useful to somebody that you can solve a problem and then get paid for doing that, because we like to go after these wicked problems, these problems that are completely insoluble by any other means because they're too big, they're too complicated. So one of the things that we're looking at, hopefully, here is homelessness. That obviously this is a huge problem, right? And if we can at least help get humans' minds around what's causing it, what's really going on, despite the rhetoric, despite all of the confusion, that's a start. And we can simulate various options, that they may take in that digital twin. Yeah.
Daniel, you said that your AGI has moral values, yeah? So there had to be some ethical engineers that built those morals into it, yeah?
So the thing is, people completely overcomplicate morality. Morality is really simple. It's well-being. So if there's some action I want to take, and that's going to decrease the well-being of some sentient creature, it's not moral, right? And the only kind of tricky parts are when there are different values that maybe come into play, but that's usually in sort of toy problems and maybe with very tricky things like abortion, for example. So in 99.9% of the cases, there is no great debate about whether or not something is moral. So all we have to do to get to a moral computer is have a computer that's capable of simulating the effects of something on sentient beings, and then determining, is it going up, is it going down, how much is it going up and down, and why. Like, when you go to the doctor, yeah, sure.
So thank you, first of all. I have a particular interest in following the future of work and what it means, and I was actually at a conference today, and a big part of that the conversation today were about that. So your last comment was very interesting, but I'm curious if you extend beyond engineers and look at the mass as an example, and when we talk about layoffs. What are some of the ideas of specific examples where people can get involved and get paid and do something that's useful for themselves? And
No, and that's very important. So I think there's two ideas. The first one is entrepreneurship, that we think that we can't wait for the government, we can't wait for UBI, we can't wait for any of these things. So what can we do on our own without waiting for the government or somebody else? We can become entrepreneurs. And right now, usually you have to maybe be of a particular social class, and maybe you went to the right school to participate in that community, and I think that's absolutely wrong. And if you think about it, what's hard about entrepreneurship? It's all the decisions you have to make, and it's the decisions, the connections that you need. And this type of AI can really help with both. It can simulate your customers, your markets, potential products. You can see in this virtual world sort of what's going to happen if you do this or that. And so I think that can really expand entrepreneurship, which will expand ownership. And the work standards go up when you have a smaller pool of people who are desperate, and so that's one idea. And then the second thing is this, I think, participation program, I'm calling it for lack of a better phrase, where people can find problems in their company, their community, as long as you can find some way to monetize in the sense that somebody cares enough to pay to solve that problem. We would love to hear your problem and work with you to solve it and have you benefit from doing that. So, yeah.
There was a meetup in here a few weeks ago. A guy worked at eBay, I think it was, and he had a woman that wanted a refund or something. That was the problem, and the AI machines got about 15 answers, and they used him as a human being to select the best answer. Is that kind of what you're doing? Kind of interject the human being in the middle of all this AI and machine learning, and you have these options, and then the human being can go in there and say, well, this is maybe the best.
So it's sort of, and I'm not sure if I completely understand, but I think in your scenario, it's to remove the need for a human being. So what
No, they had a situation, and the machine learning gave them about 15 different options they could do, but then they throw a human being in the middle of it and say, he works there.
Right. So this AI could remove the need for that human being.
No. This human being's going to say which of these 15 options is the best. It's a real human's going to decide it, not a machine, not any.
Why can't a machine decide it?
Well, they just put person in there. That's what they do. And,
okay. But I'm just saying you could take that person out because this computer can do what the human is doing.
Yeah, well, it's not about that. I'm saying they're using a human being to do. They throw them in the middle there instead of using the machine to do this big long thing. They can put a human being right in the middle of this man, and he can decide.
Oh, you mean like for a job?
No.
I apologize that I'm not interrupting you.
But he will go in and make the decision instead of having all this machine learning. You get the machine learning goes so far. There's some situation that takes
So machine learning doesn't have the context, so it can't really make any kind of a decision, and it isn't really learning in any meaningful sense. But maybe you can come find me afterwards, and I can try to answer your question.
And then just put him in, and then they go back to the machine learning. He just says this option number 9.
I think this gentleman here in the green shirt had a question.
Thanks. So your AI basically has the ability to simulate situations, while ChatGPT just learns things.
So ChatGPT, it doesn't even really learn. It's basically looking at all of the intelligent things that other people did and sort of figuring out where other intelligent people did. So it's basically like a parasite on human intelligence. It's basically what it is. All these smart people wrote things, and then ChatGPT kind of sucked up all the things that they wrote. It didn't know why they wrote them or what they were really talking about. It just knew that humans put this word next to that word next to that word. So it's like it's regurgitating what those humans wrote, but there's none of the reasoning or the understanding. So it's a mechanical tool for sucking up things that humans wrote and giving it back to you. But we want to do real AI.
The same way you'll say to a baby, like they suck up the things of language, and they learn to emotions, and they learn to have other people do what they want.
So a baby is learning in a context and with emotions and such. So I'll just say this: if you really learn something, you gain knowledge. What machine learning is learning are correlations, statistics. And the essence of intelligence is causation, and correlation is not causation. So that's why you can't get anything intelligent from these correlative systems. So if we have an AI that learns knowledge, that's real learning, and that's much of a closer analog for what you're saying.
Perfect.
So you said that you have now general AI.
Yes.
First of all, can we test it, try it anywhere on your website, or how?
Yeah, so there's a lot written about it. There's a lot of publications about it. So when people look at cognition, there's no easy way for you to play with a cognitive system. We've looked over the years. So right now, the easiest way for people to use it is to work with us to solve a problem with it, and they'll see what the AI is doing, how it's doing it, how we're improving it, and everything. At some point, we are going to be putting up some tools for entrepreneurs, and I think it'll be easier for people to play with it then. Yeah.
That's perfect. All right. So Daniel, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up. That was the last minute thing. That was actually really great. Really great. Thank you guys all for showing up for Lightning Talks. I want to try something a little different afterwards. I want to take a group picture in the back. If everybody can gather up, if you want to be part of the photo for Lightning Talks today, meet us in the back, all grouped up. We're going to take a group photo. With that said, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching. And until next week, adios.
So what we did is we went through with the government, figured out what properties
We invited everybody to here.
Yeah. So what I'm saying though is, so we do have a computer that thinks. It's really hard for people to see things. They're not used to seeing things. So I get that GPT, you can put something in and get a result, and that's very cool. But with things, it's really hard for somebody who's not like.
Gather up, come on.
That is doing it, understand it. So we have to work more closely with people. That's why we don't set up. Go down here. And you can read lots of peer review. Yeah. So I agree. It would be cool, to have. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the talk.
Sure, I mean, I can't think of the more involved things in more complicated.
Hey, my friend.
Hey, you guys want to part of the photo?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ready? Cheese. Cheese doing? Super excited. Hot dogs. Yeah, whiskey. Oh, that's good. Oh, boy. You're making a movie.
All right.
Have you got the whole?
Oh.
That is a wrap. Here's a speakers. Hold on a second. There you go. Now you can probably hear me. Let's do that again. All right, here we go. All right, so as I was saying, that is the laser cutting room. This is the podcast room. Pretty cool. Hack the planet. This is the electronics room. You got 3D printers over here?
Yeah.
Plenty of 3D printers. What are you printing?
Oh, we are printing one, like we are testing now.
Oh, that's cool.
We are testing, we are gonna test one model of generator.
Awesome. Cool. All right. And that is the AI dog. That's Robot Robert's doggy there. Woof, woof. Okay. Check that out. Awesome. Okay. This little conference room. And keep on moving. Got a couple of pods here, silent pods. Another room here. It's a great room. You got the hive. The hive's locked. Hello. You can't hear me. That's, extended hive. Oh. Intel OpenVINO, machine learning. You guys want to learn machine learning? They do have classes. Okay, check it out on the meetup. Hacker Dojo. Let's go check out the barbecue. Hey. All right, so it looks like they're finished barbecuing. Good. All right, and that there is Hacker Dojo